Good morning dear students. Welcome to the second class of Electrical Machines 2. In the previous class we already seen the introduction to Electrical Machines 2 where we have seen complete overview of the syllabus, what are the different topics we are going to study in this subject. Those all we have seen in the introduction class only. As I already told you, electrical machines are classified into majorly two types, AC machines and DC machines, and electrical machines 2 is a continuation to the electrical machines 1 subject EM1 which you have already studied in previous semester. So this is the continuation to electrical machines 2, electrical machines 1. So here in electrical machines 2 we are completely dealing with the AC machines, the machines which works on the supply of AC. So that completely deals with the AC machines. So today we'll straight away start with the first unit in the electrical machines 2. So we'll start with the unit 1, and the name of the unit 1 is 3-phase induction motor. As we already know, 3-phase induction motors are most popularly used in the industry. So everywhere you see 3-phase induction motors only used. For example, we can take the simple example of motor which is used to pump the water. In everybody's home we can see the induction motor. To pump the water from the ground floor to the syntax, we use one motor. That motor is nothing but it's a type of induction motor only. And another example I can tell you, ceiling fan. The motor which we use in the fan, that is also one type of induction motor only. So this is the simple structure. This is simple structure I have shown here. This is the complete structure of induction motor. So this is how it looks like. Okay, let us study in detail what are these parts, what are the different functions of each parts, what are the different types are there. Those all will study one by one. Right. So this is the content of unit which we are going to study in this complete 3-phase induction motor. So polyphase induction motors, construction details of cage wound rotor machines we study. Production of rotating magnetic field. This is important. This concept is very important. The whole 3-phase induction motors depends on this concept only, rotating magnetic field, that we are going to study in this topic. Then principle of operation of induction motor, then rotor EMF and rotor frequency we are going to study. Then rotor reactance, rotor current and rotor power factor. At standstill as well as during operation. At constant, what is the rotor frequency, and while running the induction motor, what will be the rotor frequency. Those all will study in this. Then rotor power input, losses, different types of losses we study. What are the losses occurs in the induction motor, those all will study. Rotor copper losses, mechanical power developed and their interrelations. So these are the different topics we'll be going to study in this unit. What is the need of AC motor? As I already told you, machines are of two types, AC and DC. And here, induction motor is type of motor which runs on AC supply. So what is the need of AC motor over DC motor? You already studied about DC machines in the previous semester. So what is the advantage of AC over DC? Why we need AC power? Why we need AC machines? So here, let us see what are the advantages why we need. AC motors are very easy to maintain and change the voltage of power transmission and distribution. This is one important advantage, because everywhere first of all we generate AC only. So after generating we need to transmit that, then we need to distribute that. So transmission and distribution compared to DC, in AC it is very economical, as well as you can say its maintenance is also very easy over the long distance. In power plants, second point, in power plants mostly AC is produced, so better to use AC power than converting it. Okay, we already know that we generate AC power only, everywhere we generate AC electricity only, then we need to transmit. But if we use DC, whatever the AC generated power, we have to convert that into DC, then we have to utilize it. So here lot of effort as well as lot of cost will be involved, because already AC is generating, so AC can be utilized. Okay, instead of converting that into DC, then then less expensive, lightweight as compared to equivalent DC motors. So these AC motors are less expensive compared to the DC motors because we generate AC only. So whatever we are generating directly you can utilize. So in this case expenses will be low. Then they are lightweighted, their weight will be very less, hence simple construction will be there as compared to DC motors. Then AC motor can work in hazardous conditions while DC cannot due to the commutation sparking. At the time of while working, during the working principle, there may be chances of taking the sparks inside the DC machines, but that will not be there in the AC machines while in working conditions. So this is also one of the important advantage. That is why we go for AC motors more than the DC motors. Then induction motor is very popular in the industry. It is very popularly used everywhere in the industry because of the following reasons. High starting torque. Its starting torque will be very high. The moment you start the induction motor, it will start rotating in a very good manner, so that it is having high starting torque. Then its regulation will be very good. It is having good speed regulation. Then little maintenance is not much. Simple maintenance will be there because of simple construction. Then it is very economical, cheap, robust construction will be there. Construction will be very solid, robust construction will be there. Then it is very efficient, hence it is reliable also. So these are the some reasons which makes the induction motor very popular in the market. Now let us come to the construction of induction motor. Okay, what is the construction of induction motor? What are the different parts of the induction motor in the construction? So construction of induction motor consists of stator, rotor, shaft will be there, bearings will be there, terminal box will be there. Terminal box consists of switches from where we give the supply or from where we take the supply to the induction motor. Then fan will be there. Inside we will be providing one fan. You might have seen in your homes the motors which we use for pumping the water. When you see that you will be seeing the fan inside. You can able to find the fan inside that. So fan is used for cooling purpose, right? So these are the different parts of the induction motor which we'll be going to study in detail. Then, as I already told you, induction motor is classified, the construction part of induction motor is classified mainly into two types, stator and rotor. These are the two important parts of the induction motor. What is stator and what is rotor? That we'll see. Stator of an induction motor. So stator, it consists of steel frame which encloses a hollow cylindrical core made up of thin laminations of silicon steel to reduce the hysteresis and eddy current losses. So stator is made up of silicon steel laminations. Okay, it is used to create the magnetic field, hence they are made up of magnetic material, hence silicon steel is very good magnetic material. Then its outer body of the motor is made up of the outer body of the motor. It protects the inner part of the machines. Then it is made up of die cast and fabricated steel. Stator core. Inside the stator we keep stator core. That stator core is built of high grade silicon steel, carries the alternating magnetic field. What are the magnetic field which is produced inside the induction motor? That will be carried by the stator core only. Then it will be having stator windings. Inside the stator core we keep the stator windings. So stator windings has a three-phase windings. We keep the windings in a three-phase and each phase is displaced by 120 degree inside the stator core. This is how stator of the induction motor looks like. Just a overview or representation of induction motor, how exactly it looks like. Now you can able to realize that this is how it looks like. So this is nothing but outer frame of the stator. This is made up of iron or silicon steel outer frame. Its construction is very rigid, robust construction is there. So it provides the support from the damages from the atmospheric conditions. That is why it is robust construction. Okay, inside this we will be having, this is the stator lamination. So here one more picture is given for more clarity. So these are the stator slots are there, these number holes are, these are the stator slots, and this is the shaft. This is the shaft. This is made up of iron. On the shaft only rotor is mounted, and rotor is kept inside the stator. We later on will come to the rotor part. So this as of now you just see rotor how it is appearing here. So this is the outer part of the stator. Inside the stator will be keeping a rotor, and rotor will be mounted on the shaft. So these are the stator slots, and inside these slots only you will be keeping the stator windings, and those windings are made up of copper material. Okay, then next, so this is for more clarity, one more picture I have given here. So these are number of slots. So these are the thin layers of stator slots. These number of stator slots, they will be laminated together using material, some using garnish or mica you can say. So using the garnish material, the mica material, they will be laminated, they will press and laminate together, and this form of stator will be produced or designed. And this is nothing but this only. So this is a stator frame. Inside this is the stator frame. Inside this, these are the stator slots. These are the stator slots. You can see the black holes you are seeing, no? So these are the stator holes. Inside these stator holes only, here you can see armature windings, or you can say stator windings. Inside these slots only, these stator windings are wounded, right? These stator windings are wounded. This is together, it is called as stator. So outer frame, this complete stator frame will be kept inside this outer frame. This is the outer frame of the stator. Inside this, these are, you can see this silver color you are seeing, no? So this is stator frame. This is the stator core, you can say. So this is the stator core. Inside this stator core, this copper winding is, that is this copper winding. So this is how construction of stator will be made along with the windings. So these stator windings are made up of copper wire, because copper is good conductor of electricity. That is why we use everywhere copper only. Almost all the electrical machines windings are made up of copper wire only, because copper wire is good conductor of electricity. Silver is more good conductor of electricity than copper, but silver is costly compared to copper. That is why copper is most popularly used. So these windings are kept inside the stator. Then this is how it looks like, complete structure of the induction motor. So this is stator frame. Inside stator frame, only stator part has been shown here. Okay, we have not kept the rotor inside. Inside this only will be keeping the rotor. So this is the complete structure of stator. So the outer frame made up of iron. Inside this is the stator frame. Inside this stator slot, the number of lines you are seeing, these are the stator slots, or you can say stator core. Inside this core only will be keeping these windings. So this is how stator part looks like. Then come to the next part, rotor part. So the difference between stator and rotor is, stator is always stationary part inside the induction motor. Okay, that is why it is called as stator, and rotor is rotating part of the induction motor. Okay, so rotor of the three-phase induction motor is classified into two types. We are having two types of rotors in the three-phase induction motor. One is squirrel cage rotor, another one is slip ring rotor or wound rotor. It is also called as phase wound rotor. So two types of rotors are there. Depending upon the type of the rotor we use inside the induction motor, it is classified into two types. If we use squirrel cage rotor inside the induction motor, then it becomes squirrel cage induction motor. If we use slip ring rotor inside the induction motor, then it is called as slip ring induction motor. So this is how classification of induction motor has been done. Okay, so in Viva they may ask you while giving the practical lab exams, external may ask you how three-phase induction motors are classified. Then you have to say that depending upon the type of the rotor we use inside the induction motors are classified into two types. One is squirrel cage induction motor, another one is slip ring induction motor. So this is how induction motors are classified. Now let us see what is the squirrel cage rotor, what is its construction, how it looks like. So here I have given small picture. So this is the squirrel cage type of induction motor. This type of induction motor we are very well familiar with this kind of induction motor, because in our day-to-day activities we have seen, in our daily life we have come across this type of induction motor so many times. In our home we use this kind of induction motor only. Whatever the motor we use to pump the water, that is squirrel cage type of induction motor only, because the rotor is of squirrel cage structure. So this is the shaft. On the shaft only squirrel cage induction motor will be mounted. So these lines you can see, so these are the number of rotor bars. These are the rotor bars. They are made up of copper or again aluminum, because they are used to carry the current only. Any metal, anything which is used to carry the current is made up of either copper or aluminum. Anything which is used to create the magnetic flux or carry the magnetic flux, that will be made up of either silicon steel or iron materials. Okay, this difference you should know. Silicon steel and iron are good conductors of producing the magnetic flux, and copper and aluminums are good conductors of electricity. Right? So this is further one more structure of the rotor here. So this is exactly how it looks like. So at the end you can see on the both sides you will be having end rings. Some circle kind of structures will be seeing, cylindrical structures. They are called as end rings. They are nothing but caps. End rings are nothing but caps. Using those only will close the induction motor. It's nothing but caps to close the induction motor. So this is the shaft. Okay, these lines you can see, these lines are nothing but these lines only. So these lines are made up of rotor. They are called as rotor bars. They are made up of either copper or aluminum. This is further representation for more clarification. So these are the this complete structure looks like cage. Okay, that is why it is given the name as squirrel cage rotor. You can see by looking at the structure, what is the immediate picture coming to our mind? It looks like cage only. That is why it is called as squirrel cage rotor. So these are the number of rotors bars. This is how each slot, again inside these bars will be having number of slots. These are the number of rotor slots. So many number of thin rotor slots will be, thin sheets of rotors will be there. Rotor frames, you can say rotor slots are there. Number of rotor slots are compressed together and laminated together to given the structure like this. Okay, inside this only you will be keeping the shaft. So the rotor, how it works, the rotor of the squirrel cage three-phase induction motor is cylindrical in shape, okay, and have slots on its periphery. So these are the slots. These are number of the slots are there on its periphery, or you can say on this outer layer. These number of slots are there. So these slots are also called as rotor slots. Okay, the slots are not made parallel to each other but are bit skewed. You can see that these are not exactly straight lines. These are not parallel to one another. The structure is something like it is skewed. Okay, so the skewed structure is made just to reduce the noise which occurs while motors are running. So this skewed kind of structure is given to the rotor bars to reduce the noise while induction motors are operating. Okay, rotor consists of aluminum, brass or copper bars. Okay, as I already told you, the rotor bars which are there are on the outer periphery of the rotor. They are made up of copper, aluminum or brass. So rotor conductors are braced to the end ring and hence form a complete closed structure resembling like a cage, and hence got its name as squirrel cage induction motor. Okay, so the entire structure looks like cage. That is why it is given the name as squirrel cage induction motor. Then come to the second part of the rotor, or you can say second part of the induction motor or second type of induction motor, that is slip ring or wound type. So why it is given slip ring? So here you can see that number of slip rings we use. Here slip ring arrangement we use in the slip ring induction motor, but this facility is not there in the squirrel cage. You can see here this squirrel cage rotor. See this squirrel cage rotor, these are the number of rotor bars. These bars will be permanently fitted to this rotor. Permanently this will be fitted to this end box. So these end rings are there, no? So to these end rings, these rotor bars will be permanently fitted. So you cannot add anything, any external resistance to rotor conductors here. Okay, that facility is not there in the rotor squirrel cage type of rotor, because these end aluminum bars are permanently fitted to this end rings. Like you can say that they are permanently welded to the end rings. But in the slip ring induction motor, you can see here the slip ring induction motor is given the name because we use slip ring arrangements in the rotor. So this is 3-phase rotor connection. It is, you can say this is star connected 3-phase rotor because the 3 phases, the different phases we use here, and each phase is kept 120 degree phase shift apart from each other. Between R and Y you can see 120 degree phase shift will be there, and between Y and B 120 degree phase shift will be there, and between B and R 120 degree phase shift will be there. This is how we keep the conductors, or we keep the rotor windings inside the rotor. Okay, R, Y, B. So R phase is connected to, these are 3 types of slip rings. That is why it is given name slip ring. This is the shaft. I already told you, so rotor is mounted on the shaft. This shaft is made up of iron material. Then these are the brushes. These are the brushes. Brushes are used to collect the current. They are made up of carbon material. Then these are the external resistances. Because of slip ring arrangements, we are able to connect the external resistances here. These external resistances then this complete is rotor frame. Inside the rotor frame we keep the rotor. This is how slip ring induction motor looks like. Okay. This is the another picture of the wound rotor or slip ring rotor type induction motor. So this is the rotor. Again you can see that it is mounted on the shaft. On the shaft you can see, for more clarity, this is how slip rings are mounted on the shaft. Through these slip rings only we will give the input to the stator, or you can say that input to the stator. So here 3 resistance arrangements are there. These are the external resistors. So this kind of facility is there in the slip ring. We can connect the external resistance. If we are connecting the external resistance, means what is the function of resistor? Generally it opposes the current. Okay, so here it is, we are using advantage of connecting the resistors are there. It means we are controlling the current. If we control the current, means we can control the speed of the machine also. So slip ring induction motor, speed control is possible, but in squirrel cage induction motor, speed is always constant. Once we give the supply to the induction motor, and whatever the speed it achieves, that speed only going to remain till the end of the process. If you want to change the speed, it is not possible in squirrel cage induction motor, because there we don't have any provision to connect the external resistance, because rotor bars are permanently fitted to end rings. That provision is not there. But here in slip ring induction motor, speed control is possible. You can increase the speed or decrease the speed according to your need. You might have seen in the lab in the previous semester, in the 4th semester you have studied electrical machine 1 lab. There you had one experiment, speed control of 3-phase induction motor. You already completed there using the rheostats. These external resistances are nothing but rheostat. These are, you consider these are rheostats. How we were controlling the speed there? By increasing the rheostat or by decreasing the rheostat only we were able to control the speed. So this is how we control the speed of the induction motor, right? So this facility is there in the slip ring. understood that this is one of the major difference between squirrel cage and slip ring, right? But squirrel cage has having lot of advantages over slip ring, except this speed control. Only speed control only is the disadvantage, which is not there in the squirrel cage. Apart from that, squirrel cage is having so many advantages over slip ring, okay, because its construction is very robust, cheap maintenance is there, okay. The constant speed machine, there are some equipments are there where we need constant speed only, for example fan, okay, right? Then you can see here brushes. Through these brushes only we take the output. So brushes are made up of carbon materials, they are very smooth here, right? Then how exactly rotor works here? The rotor is wound for the same number of poles as that of the stator, but it has less number of slots and has less turns per phase of a heavier conductor. So what is this point is, so rotor is wound for the same number of poles. If the stator is having 3 poles, then rotor is also will be wounded for the same number of poles. If stator is having 2 poles, rotor also will be wounded for the same number of poles, right? Then it consists of a laminated cylindrical core and carries 3-phase winding similar to the one on the stator, okay. So in the slip ring induction motor, rotor structure is almost similar to the rotor winding structure is almost similar to the stator winding. In the same manner we keep the windings of the rotor, okay. How they have kept it for the stator? If stator is having 3 windings and each winding is kept at 120-degree phase shift apart, then rotor also kept in the same manner. You can see here in the diagram. See, this is the rotor frame. Inside this rotor is consisting of 3 windings and each windings are kept at 120-degree phase shift. If stator is, because if the stator has kept like this, then only rotor has kept the same winding in the same manner they have kept. That is what he is going to tell in this second point, right? In the third point, the rotor winding is uniformly distributed in the slots and is usually star connected, okay. The rotor, whatever the connection we use inside the rotor is always star connection only. We have 2 types of connection, star connection and delta connection. So star connection is always preferred for the rotor connection, rotor winding construction. Then the open ends of the rotor windings are brought out and joined to 3 insulated slip rings mounted on the rotor shaft with 1 brush resting on each slip, right? This is what I have shown you here. 3 windings, all the 3 windings of the rotors have taken out with the help of through the slip rings and with the help of the brushes, okay. This is how slip ring induction motor connection has been made, right? Then let us see the differences between, or you can see the comparison of between the slip ring induction motor and squirrel cage induction motor. What are the comparison are there, what are the similarities are there between them, and what are the differences are there? Let us compare between the two. In the slip ring induction motor, as I already told you, construction is very complicated due to the presence of slip rings and brushes, okay. Its construction is very complicated because we use so many equipment, so many parts we use. But here construction is very simple. For the squirrel cage, construction is very simple, okay. Not much setup will be there. Then the rotor winding is similar to the stator winding, right? Here the rotor consists of rotor bars which are permanently shorted with the help of the end rings. As I already told you, they are permanently shorted with the end rings and we cannot connect anything there. Here rotor winding is always similar to the stator winding. Whatever the stator structure is there, winding structure, same rotor will be following here, right? Then we can easily add rotor resistance by using slip rings and brushes. Adding the external resistance is possible here, but here since the rotor bars are permanently shorted, it is not possible to add the external resistance here. Then due to the presence of external resistance, high starting torque can be obtained, but starting torque is very low and cannot be improved because we cannot control the speed here. That is why we always keep starting torque very low in the squirrel cage, because we cannot control the speed. Here that facility is there, adding the external resistance, hence we can achieve the maximum torque here. Slip ring and brushes are present, slip ring and brushes are absent here. The construction is complicated and presence of brushes and slip ring makes the motor more costly. It is very less economical because presence of brushes and slip ring arrangement is there. Here the construction is simple, robust, and it is cheap as compared to slip ring induction motor. The motor is rarely used in the industry. Only 10% of the industry uses slip ring induction motor. In the beginning only I told you, slip ring induction motor, squirrel cage is having so many advantages over slip ring, and it is more popularly used, right? Due to its simple construction and low cost, the squirrel cage induction motor is widely used. Okay, cost wise also it is very economical and its construction is very robust. This is one of the main reason we use squirrel cage more than the slip ring. Then rotor copper losses are high and hence less efficiency. Losses in the slip ring induction motors are very high, that is why its efficiency is very low. If losses increases, efficiency decreases, right? So here copper losses are very less and hence having high efficiency. Speed control by rotor resistance method is possible. We can control the speed in the slip ring induction motor, but speed control is not possible in the squirrel cage. This is the only disadvantage squirrel cage is having over slip ring. Okay. Then slip ring induction motors are used where high starting torque is required, that is in hoists, cranes, elevators. So wherever we require high starting torque, there we go for slip ring induction motors. For example, you can say cranes. In the cranes we require starting torque is very high. There we use slip ring induction motors. You can say in the elevators, you can see the elevators in shopping malls everywhere, where in the shopping malls you can see the elevators. There we require high starting torque because it will be having a heavy load. So many people used to